And so he said, I don't know, man. She acted kind of funny. And I said, I know. Everybody funny. Now you funny too. Hey, are we rolling? Hello, HM Sheep. Did you think I was dead? Did you think I would forget? It's long-term nemesis of Hero Movie Podcast and professional cat party planner, Dr. Dan Do. If you're looking to throw your cat a professional, beautiful-looking birthday party, call Do Behave. Do is spelt like the soda. But I'm talking to you today because someone needs to chastise you dinks into being better people. This terrible podcast is now going into their 6th year, which is a long time. These idiots haven't gotten any better at podcasting. Bruce's comic book connections run for half an hour now. Maybe Bruce can start his 12th new podcast called Bruce's Comic Book Connection. And don't even get me started on the new Sean. Dude's never come up with a single idea that's his own and has a complete inability to write a new joke. And Adam. Poor Adam. I think Adam might actually be functionally illiterate. I'm not even kidding. I feel bad for him. And one time I threw a kid off a balcony because he saw me making dirty business with my sister. 6 years! Everyone should be ashamed of themselves except for me because everything I do is perfect. I'm Dr. Dan Do. Burn and hate it!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie, TV, and discussion. I am your host, Adam Portrais, and I am joined by Sean Koufax.
You know, that lady that she is she like plastic? Like what's her deal?
And Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear. And can podcasts break the fourth wall? Because I want to do that.
I don't know, but I think sometimes when we're on these conversations, I feel like I could break through a wall, but that really is just Bruce starting to,
Hey, podcasting is theater in the round. We have no walls.
Ooh, and so we welcome you to our non-walled abode that is Hero Movie Podcast. This week, we kind of... we thought we had a really good plan, but then the plans kind of fell through a little bit because I thought, like most television shows, that Doom Patrol on the DC Universe streaming app and everything only had 13 episodes. Boy, oh boy, was I wrong. And if only I had some sort of information that would let me know that there was more than 13 actual episodes, but that's, then again,
Well, here,
I don't know.
First off, I'll confess I fell for it too. Like, you know, it just feels like a natural number, but... as far as it goes, anyone who watches the show to actually access and watch the show, you see that there will be more episodes. Like from day one, it was no secret that there are 15 episodes, and we just all kind of have fallen into the Marvel on Netflix routine of 13. Though this is neither Marvel nor Netflix
or network television. That's but
Oh man, I have a friend too who also thought it was only 13, and he worked on the show, so you never know what's going on with
people. Are weird, things are odd, and no one knows how things are. But we are back. We did review the first 2 episodes a couple of shows back, so if you want to go listen to the thoughts on the first 2 episodes that are there, we'll go ahead and do that. But now we're going to do episodes 3 all the way through 13, correct? 13.
Yeah, 13.
Okay.
13. It's the most Doom Patrol thing we could do is to do a final review of the season with 2 episodes left.
And we're just going to assume what happens and do like most people do, because honestly, there are people that like I've seen people come into movies super late and leave super early. I don't know who these people are, but they exist out there, and
I got 45 minutes to kill. I'm going to take it in Act 2 because everybody knows Act 2 is the best part of the movie.
They set everything up in Act 1, and let's be frank, it's usually a waste of time. And, the third act, most of us just wrap up, so who cares? 2's where you go. That's the bread and butter.
The sagging middle, that's where I live.
So that's what we're doing today. We're on the Doom Patrol sagging middle, everybody. Put that on a bumper sticker. But before we get the show started here and everything, do want to give a shout out to one of our Patreon supporters who actually jumped up in pledges. Tim went up from $30 to $42 a month. Tim, thanks for the bump in pleasure there, my friend. So I got to get Tim out a shirt, and I got to get another shirt out there. So a couple of awesome things there. So if you do want to help this show out, head on over to patreon.com/HMP. Pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone, all that kind of good stuff is available over there. So thank you very much in advance. Now, I do, real quick here, we got one email we want to get into before we get into the show proper. So let's just open up the old mailbag here.
Bale's here.
And I'm sure many of you have that have listened to this show before hear Sean say at the end, "Bye, Marty and Evie." Guess what? We have a email here from Marty.
What?
And it's entitled "A Heartfelt Thank You." Bruce will love this one in parenthetical.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, guys. I hope you're all well. This is a long email, so you might want Bruce or Sean to read it, Adam. How dare you? I just wanted to drop you a line and say thank you. I've been off the grid for a little while now, just before Christmas, as I developed a problem in my right eye. No big deal, I hear you cry. Well, kinda. But it's almost total blurriness in the right eye, which meant I wasn't allowed to drive, which is a big part of my job. This in itself came with a whole host of problems. Was I going to lose my job? Was I going to be able to drive again? Will I be able to pay the bills? Were my friends and family going to get so mad driving me everywhere that they'd lock me up in a box at the bottom of a lake? See what I did there, Preacher fans?
Preacher.
Anywho, I spent a lot of time in and out of hospitals having nearly every test known to man, including the odd lumbar puncture. I'll leave Bruce to say ouch. The last diagnosis, I can't say that word today, is my optic nerve is somehow irreparably damaged in my right eye. We're going to make sure the left doesn't deteriorate. But there is a silver lining. I've had my driver's license reissued, so work life is starting to get back to normal. My reason for the email, though, isn't to vent, it's to say thank you. You guys have kept me mostly sane throughout the hospital, waiting, prodding, poking, worrying. It's been like two old friends and this new Koufax guy chatting all of the stuff that I love, superhero movies, comics, and chowder buckets. I promise once I'm back on my feet and making millions, I'll be the first Patreon subscriber to show to have the show broadcast from my own home. Hashtag value for value. Love this guy.
I hope everything goes. I'm sorry, am I interrupting his email?
We're a little bit more. Okay. A few other points. Number one, Captain Marvel is great. I love her sass. I don't see what all the fuss is about. Number two, Shazam was brilliant. A really great time. You can't beat Mark Strong chewing that scenery. Number three, Umbrella Academy was the best Netflix I've seen in a long time, not counting Star Trek Discovery, which I hope you'll be able to shoehorn in one day. Four, not seen Hellboy yet, but your review reminded me to hang up some of my preconceptions and give it a go. Number five, Endgame wasn't perfect, but it was awesome. So many great moments. And Adam, I'm with you. I was weeping constantly throughout Tony Stark's funeral and broke inside a funeral, broke something inside of me, I'm sure. Thanks again, guys. Keep up the great work that you do every week. It is appreciated. And one day I dream of a Surrogates review. I love you guys. And that is from Marty.
Thanks, Marty. Hope you're doing okay, man. I hope you're doing okay. I hope you're learning to adjust. And if you're one of those glass half full guys, now you finally have an excuse to wear that eye patch you've been wanting. But, oh, man, I can't believe you didn't send me an email, buddy. At least let me know what you're up to. I would have sent you my sympathies and maybe even a little advice. That's kind of my thing.
It's what he does, everybody. And, because, listen, if anybody that is in the HMP thing, we're all very accessible people. We're not fancy. You know what I mean?
And I got to tell you, as someone who came very close to losing their eye a couple of years ago, it was
oh my gosh,
nice
did he ever, everybody? You should have seen this thing.
It was very nice to have Bruce take a looky-loo and go, oh, wow, you don't know how lucky you are. Like, this is bad, but at least there's no irreversible damage, like stuff like that. It was.
And I can't answer any questions, but I've lost a lot of eyes. Just thankfully, none of them were my own. But if you see an eye, give me a call because I may know who it belongs to.
Pick it up off the ground, put it in your pocket.
Hey, no lie. One time I stepped on an elevator with a jar filled with animal eyes. They weren't human eyes.
Oh,
but
thank
I'm
heavens.
wearing a coat that says Vanderbilt Department of Ophthalmology. I have a jar filled with what looked like human eyes riding a public elevator. I got some strange looks that day.
Hey, listen, they were giving you strange looks because they were getting strange looks from your bucket of eyes.
And Marty, it's kind of funny, man, because we were I think this is off air, but we were talking about how, in my head I still picture your daughter as somebody who's, like a little kid and like adorable, and in reality at this point now she's probably 42 and has her own kids. It is good to hear from you, man. We hope that you are doing well, and it sounds like you are, and that's great.
Yeah. Let's kind of keep those vibes going. Get you a little something else good. I had a conversation with Matthew. If you'll remember, he was our HM Creepa.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
So he messaged me over Facebook and said, Adam, I just want to say again how much I love you in HMP. I know the HM Creeper has been a D-bag in the past. I'm truly so sorry to all of you and all the fans of HMP. And Bruce and Sean and even, I won't not reading that. You guys are one of my top 5 reasons to get through the week. Thank you all for everything that you do. And my Mondays could never be the same if you guys stop. My wife and I have a kid on the way, and I, for one, can't wait to do middle of the night diaper changes, accompanied by the lustrous tones of the HMP crew, so that hopefully my son or daughter will have the best taste in comic book movies. Feel free to share this as part of your mailbag if you like. I love this show and love all of you guys. You pump up my ears every single week. You 3 are doing the Lord's work, and the fact that you aren't being paid enough, it irritates me to no end and makes me respect you guys all the more. You guys are the true fans. Thank you for everything. Love you guys. Matt from Florida, a.k.a. the HM Creepa.
Love you, man.
Thanks, HM Creepa.
And good luck with that whole being a parent thing. I got to tell you from experience, parent of 3, I'll just tell you right now, like the first 40 years are the hardest, maybe 50.
Yeah, and you should see the way Bruce's kids just smack him around. It's hilarious. Good stuff. Let's close up the old mailbag.
Bale's here.
And, of course, as always, if you'd like to email us, heromoviepodcast@gmail.com. Well, we normally go to the trailers for the movie or television show that we're discussing. However, I couldn't really find one, so I think Sean has a little something to help us out.
All right, isolate this because this is going to be the theme to this new long-running bit that will happen starting tonight. Ready?
Yep.
Fake movie trailer, fake movie trailer, fake movie trailer, sometimes TV. Oh, yeah.
Perfect. All right. I got you.
All right, you got it.
So that will be our that'll be our theme coming up here, and everybody. So guess what?
I love Bruce's stinger on the end.
The stinger on the end's perfect.
I feel like I don't contribute enough.
I'm
to the
so
bit,
glad. Honest to goodness, I'm
end of
so
this,
glad
Bruce,
you're on the same
you've got
channel.
to recreate that because I'm going to.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, sweet.
Fair.
Sweet. All right, so the Doom Patrol fake trailer goes like this. Say, Robot Man, it's me, Elastigirl. Want to start a superhero club with me? Well, there's a different kind of robot guy, a gay alien guy, and a crazy lady. We've even got a great name, the Doom Patrol. What do you mean that isn't a great name? We're patrolling Doom. What do you mean we need to workshop it? Uh-huh. Yeah, I guess you're right. The Doomies would have been a better supergroup name. You're right. You're really good at naming things. Like when you name me Hot Silly Putty Lady, that'd have been a good name too. I mean, Robot Man, it doesn't get much better than Robot Man. Sorry you look like you were designed by latter-day Tim Burton. That guy sucks as much as he used to be awesome. Join our team. We don't actually fight anybody. Everything's weird all the time, and it's still the best superhero television show on TV. What do you mean you don't watch TV? Fake movie trailers, fake movie trailers, fake movie trailers, sometimes TV.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
Okay, and before we go back live to the show, man, here's what I think. I think we need to rotate doing the fake movie trailer, so every third week we can see what Adam comes up with off the top of his head.
Oh my God.
you know what? I don't need this kind of treatment.
Oh, right. I was supposed to do that. Right. I forgot about that. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Been a really busy week.
Well, yeah, listen, things get rough. Well, all right, let's see how he steps up to the plate here.
It's time for Bruce's comic book connection.
All right, Bruce. Let's see how you can do, buddy.
Hey, Sven Larson. Sven Larson is a name all comic book loving kids are always talking about because three things all good comic book kids love are animals, vegetables, and minerals. That is why they love Sven Larson so much, because he is the one and only animal, vegetable, mineral man. He first appeared in Doom Patrol number 89 in 1964, and he has one of the most iconic backstories in all of fiction. Dr. Sven Larson was not only an accomplished Swedish scientist, I'm pretty sure he designed furniture for IKEA, but he was also a student of one Niles Calder. On a quest to preserve the lifespan of reasonably priced and equally stylish home furnishings, Larson invented an anti-decaying ray. When Dr. Larson suspected the man who would later come to be known as the Chief was stealing his invention, Sven and Niles had a serious falling out, which is a sophisticated way of saying they got pissed at each other. Now, while in the thralls of a tizzy that can only occur when one of your most trusted colleagues steals your best idea, think Winklevoss twins, but only one of them, Sven Larson fell into a vat of amino acids. It turns out amino acids aren't just a way to get your pump on at the gym, because they give Sven Larson a never-before-seen set of powers. Suddenly, the Swedish scientist could change any part of his body into the form of any animal, vegetable, or mineral. Calling himself Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man, he sets out on a quest to get revenge on Niles Calder. In a turn of bitter irony, the Doom Patrol uses Larson's own anti-decay ray to defeat him on more than one occasion. Later on, AVMM, as I like to call Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man on occasion, attacked Teen Titan Beast Boy because the little furball was once a member of the Doom Patrol and also happened to be Rita Farr's adopted son. Rita and her colleagues showed up to help her son in battle, but this whole thing didn't go down well because when AVMM, which once again is short for Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man, snuck away, it appeared the Doom Patrol had attacked Titan's tower without provocation. Kids loved AVMM, or Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man, so much from his comic appearances that they demanded he appear in animation, and Warner Brothers acquiesced. AVMM, which is short for Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man, showed up in an episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold, much to the joy of youngsters around the globe who were wearing their Dr. Sven Larson officially licensed lab coats and eagerly clutching their Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man plush toys. But for something as cool as a guy with a half-human, half-dinosaur head, once is never enough. So the children of the world who love a guy who can turn one arm into a vegetable while the other is a mineral were treated to an appearance of their favorite character on Teen Titans Go. When I heard the DC streaming app was developing a live-action children's show around Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man, I figured the Doom Patrol would get a cameo. But when I heard they decided to actually call the show Doom Patrol, I clutched my pearls because it sounded too good to be true. But fellas, here we are.
Indeed we are. Like I said previously, we did talk about the first two episodes of Doom Patrol previously, and now we're going to be doing episodes 2 through 13. Yes, there are 15 episodes in the season. Sorry, we screwed up.
Yeah, we're doing episodes 3 through 13 because we did 1 and 2. Yeah.
First of all, I'll say this. Now, recollecting back to what I said about the first two episodes here, I thought the show was very enjoyable, and I can say now, going through many more hours of this 13 in total now, this show is fantastic.
It's definitely unlike anything else out there.
It is. I'm. I hate. I hate speaking in terms like this, but it is now my favorite superhero show on television. It's unlike anything else. It was always a toss-up, honestly, between one of the Marvel Netflix shows, probably Daredevil at this point, because the third season of that is so fantastic, and each season has been great, or the FX show. Legion. I love Legion also.
And that coming back for another season, for its last season and everything, and it's just going to be bonkers crazy from that quick trailer.
Well, it should be. I mean,
it's going to be great.
And it's got a lot to live up to, quite honestly, because it was nuts last year too. I mean, and so now we're here at Doom Patrol, and Doom Patrol is one of those shows where, like, I didn't know if they were going to be able to keep all the balls in the air like they have. Where we're at this point with that show, everything about these characters. They've given you all the backstory at this point, and now it's about moving forward. And I'm surprised by that, quite honestly.
Now, when we talked about this show last time, we were only 2 episodes in, and it was hard to make a dollars to dollars kind of comparison. But now that we've got 13 episodes, and we've had a little bit of tincture of time to help us get some perspective on it, how does this stack up to the Umbrella Academy for you guys? Because I like this a lot better than the Umbrella Academy from Word Go, but I felt like maybe one or both of you were a little more in the Umbrella Academy side of things when we reviewed the first 2 episodes, but I think you might have come around now.
Well, Adam always hated Umbrella
I
Academy.
hated Umbrella Academy, and this is the show Umbrella Academy wishes it was. It goes to bed at night going, man,
it should have been.
I wish I was Doom Patrol.
Well, the only thing, if we're going to really break this down, and I guess we can, is that the only thing that Umbrella Academy has going for it that this show does not, is that there's that one character in Umbrella Academy, number 5, that, I mean, there's just something so special about that character and the actor playing that character, where it's just the perfect melding, and you can get behind it, and it's in that character, there's just something so great and different about him. Whereas with Doom Patrol, all the characters are fantastic. I
say we got 5 of those characters on this show.
Well, I don't think that that's true. I think that you have, there is something very cool about all these characters, and they are very good characters. But there is something other level about number 5 that is not on this show. And quite honestly, that's fine. But, what is your taste? Like, do you prefer to have a show where you like let's take it from a stand-up comedy perspective, since we all have that background in the first place, right? Mm-hmm. So Steve Martin, his goal as a stand-up comic was never to have that knockout punch night where you're like, wow, I am probably the funniest person in America right now. Steve Martin always wanted to be really, really good each night. That's all he wanted to do. And so that's the difference with him, is he likes consistency. However, if you have someone like, like an Eddie Murphy, let's say, like Eddie Murphy strikes me. I'm too young to have seen him live, but he strikes me as someone where if you saw him on the wrong night, it was going to be a bad night for you. He was going to be funny, but he wasn't going to be great. And then he would have one of those magnificent special nights. And that is how he became famous, is from that. So basically,
I mean, you can even hear just present day, even Chris Rock says that. It's just like, look,
right.
They give me a pass for a little bit, but like if it ain't there, it ain't there. And they don't care if I'm Chris Rock.
That's kind of what the show is that, do you want something that's consistent every single time and all the characters are really humming? Because they all are. Like, each one of these characters you care about, and each one of these characters is very, very good. Whereas with something like Umbrella Academy, there are characters on that show that if we never see them again, I'll be fine, as long as they keep number 5 around forever.
You could rotate everyone else. You could rotate everyone else off that cast, and you wouldn't care. That one character, you'd care. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Whereas with Doom Patrol, that's not the case, and so because of that, because you don't have that one very, very special character, you're going to have people who don't know names of people. They don't like the look of these people. There's going to be people who they don't understand the show, don't want to understand the show, hate the show. And I understand that. This show is not built for everyone. That is what Umbrella Academy is for. This show is for people who are like, you know what? I want something a little different, but I still like superheroes, and this is what I want to see. And that's what this show is.
Okay, man. I think you've just given me some insight. I'm going to try to put it into the kind of comparison that works for me as a person who listened to hair metal and stuff like that growing up. But there's like the well-behaved kid in the suburbs who decides he's going to listen to some devil music, so he throws on Bon Jovi or Kiss, and he really thinks he's misbehaving. That's kind of like Umbrella Academy. Like, I want a trippy, weird comic book show. I want to watch Umbrella Academy. Then you've got the guy that throws on the Cannibal Corpse or something, who takes it to just a whole level that kid didn't even know existed, and that's Doom Patrol.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Umbrella Academy is under the guise of, wow, this is some weird stuff, but it's not really that weird. It's pretty mainstream. Doom Patrol, there is no getting around. This show ain't for everybody. Like, not everyone's
There
gonna be
is
watching
so
this
much
show.
stuff in this that, like, again, like, I just don't see them pitching it in a room and then, someone going, oh, I get exactly what this is. I understand all of this. You're coming to this, if you're coming as an outsider to this, it's going to look pretty odd and pretty strange. And for me, it's all about, like, if you can grab a hold of what they're doing and go with it, it's a great ride. But it ain't going to be a ride everybody wants to get on.
And I'm going to say, some preferences are highly personal, but for me, like seeing this second chance, this sort of resurgence, seeing Brendan Fraser back on a show that I like and love gives me about as much joy as the excellent performance that number 5 turned in on Umbrella Academy. So I think for me personally, that kind of is a 1-to-1, cancels each other out kind of thing, because I really like Brendan Fraser way more than healthy people do.
Well, there is something very nice about having Brendan Fraser back in our lives, and I'm hoping that we're just going to see a whole lot more of him. What I'm hoping for is sort of like an Alec Baldwin resurgence, where the second half of his career doesn't look like the first half of his career. That we're going to be seeing a lot more, roles where he doesn't have to be the most handsome guy in the room. He's just really, really good.
And something I never realized he was well suited to until those first couple of episodes of Doom Patrol, when we get to see him as Cliff Steele and see him doing his pre-Robot Man stuff, is he's really good. And I don't know if this sounds complimentary or not, but if you need like a dirtbag with a heart of gold, now I'm not saying that Brendan Fraser's a dirtbag, but he plays that really well, like dirtbag with a heart of gold, which is essentially Cliff Steele.
Yeah, I mean, because when you're watching the character, it really it gives you that, like, there is a heart in there, but generally he's not a very good guy. Because we literally, I mean, the first couple of moments we get to meet the guy. He's getting it on with the housekeeper or whatever.
Well, I think that we've found our first issue, our cover story is Brandon Fraser.
Yeah, from Dirtbag Weekly.
Dirtbag Magazine.
We put him in that jacket and everything, and the little race jacket that he does in the soap opera, which is great. And I say this, I think this is a thing, and you guys can back me up on this. I think it takes really good acting talents to act badly.
Yes, it does, to make it work.
Yeah, that's the key part we're missing there, because man, it takes good acting talent to act badly in a way that's palatable.
Yes.
Anybody, almost everyone else is well suited to the just acting badly part. Yeah. It's in a way that's palatable.
Right. If you're trying to make it funny.
Like right. Exactly. It's for the comedic effect. Yeah.
And what's great is that I have a great story about this, which is that when they were shooting, man, I can't remember. I just completely blanked on everything. Sorry, everybody.
Well, there's this time Woody Allen was shooting, and he liked me, so he just gave me this quick cameo where all I had to say is these pretzels are making me thirsty. But
I knew the second Woody Allen came out of his mouth.
Making movies for
I knew exactly where he was going with that.
These pretzels are making me thirsty.
Saw that coming down Front Street so fast.
So Julianne Moore is talking about how it's hard to act poorly, how to act badly on screen and make it work. And so what she realized is that the way that you make that work, because I think it was for Boogie Nights, maybe. Is she in Boogie Nights?
Mm-hmm. Yes, she is. Quite a bit of her is.
Oh yeah.
The way that you do that, the way that you make that work so it's funny and it works for scenes, is that you literally have to make it like you're just barely remembering your lines. And so that was her secret to making Boogie Nights work, is that she would like on purpose not really know her lines super well, and so she would have these awkward pauses and weirdness, and she wouldn't know her blocking, and it was all done on purpose, which I think is basically what Brendan Fraser did in this last episode that we just saw.
Probably.
And listen, if you've ever been around somebody who was there was some buzz for a daytime Emmy or even local Emmy, if you've ever been around those people, they will constantly do that to you all the time. Here's a little buzz about daytime Emmy, local Emmy. There might be a local Emmy in this for me. You never know. Boy, do those people exist.
Oh boy.
Are local Emmys still a thing?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Listen, somebody's got to pat somebody else on the back and throw fancy steak dinners at $150 a plate.
Maybe I'll win one for this commercial that's coming up.
No. You won't win a daytime Emmy for a commercial.
That's a
when
whole
it's a commercial, you win.
Is it a Chloe? Is it called a Chloe? I know they've got a name for it.
I can't remember the name.
You win a Chloe Sevigny, everybody. Take that to the bank.
Man, that's a different kind of award.
No.
Yeah, here's your Schleppy. But anyway,
you got to come up here and get it.
Get your Schleppy. I think we hit some high points on some crazy stuff. What do you guys think? Because
sure,
trying to follow this narrative, and when I say it's impossible, it doesn't do the show justice, because you don't really feel like you're just watching something without a plot. I mean, there is a plot, and it's actually pretty complicated, and it's woven in and out with each other, and we've got fourth wall breaking and all kinds of stuff going on.
Dimensions, everything.
So it's actually pretty tightly written. But it would sound like pure insanity if we're trying to describe it. So maybe we just hit some high points, some crazy parts, talk about some of these roles, some of these characters, instead of trying to cover the 10 hours of product that we've got to cover here.
I think that's a good idea, Bruce.
And I think the first thing that bears talking are, man, this is a moment where I already knew that I liked the show, but it's like just when you think the show's perfect, it manages to lift it up a little bit higher sometimes. And that's when we get the Nazi puppets and stuff. Like this whole puppet show in Paraguay episode was really working for me on so many levels, mainly on the level where they had a lot of puppets.
I love the guy. He's so interested in this puppet play. It goes on for over 3 hours, and he is gripped all the way to the end. And he's just on pins and needles. I love it.
And on rewatch, I realized that they do mention that his name is Steve Larson, which is awfully close to Sven Larson. But with the whole time this guy's there, I'm not paying attention that he's going to matter at all. But they really do good things with him. But the puppet stuff is just really crazy. And we get some good crazy Jane here. One of my favorite personalities for how it looks on screen is Silver Tongue, and that's the one where whatever word she says turns into like metal ninja stars and flings at people. But her German pronunciation, and come on, if you're getting critiques on your pronunciation from me, something's going on, man. But boy, she really has a weird way of saying Auf Wiedersehen. Did you pick up on that?
I have to say that of all of the characters on the show, I thought that she was the one I was going to care about least, because I thought that whenever you're dealing with mentally ill people on television, there's a tendency to jump in, especially superhero stuff. There's a tendency to jump into their heads and try to get them, like try to figure out what makes them tick. And they have done that on this show for sure.
Yeah.
But the difference is that the representation of it is so vastly different than anything they've done on television before, or in movies before even, where you're like, oh, okay, so that's how they're setting this up, and that's how you're able to go into her head. And the actress herself, Diane Guerrero, is just she's just terrific in this role. I mean,
yeah, I want to second that, because I really had little experience with her. I mean, I'd seen Orange is the New Black. I didn't really think much of her, and now
she just had a very small role.
Yeah, she's someone that I really enjoy and respect a lot now. And I think I'm kind of like you. At first, I thought Crazy Jane might be my least favorite character on the show. Not a huge fan of some elements in the comics, but by the end, she's as much as I love a lot of the folks on this show. I think that might be my favorite character as with where we stand at the end of episode 13.
Oh, wow, really?
I think
I'm really getting into the Crazy Jane character. I love the power set and the way it's portrayed, and you know, if it's not Robot Man as my favorite, then it's probably going to be Crazy Jane.
One of the reasons that we like her and how we got that feeling in the first place, I think, is because we've had a history, like Sean said, of those characters being very two-dimensional, not really leading anywhere, and kind of just doing the same thing over and over. Now, while this is a bit of the kind of old thing of like, oh, multiple personality and stuff, it's every bit of it is helped and rooted in the actual story that's being told. So it doesn't feel like we're doing it just because we can do it. It's rooted in something, and I think it's the first time where we've properly seen these this kind of power and everything used as a proper superpower, as opposed to necessarily something that needs to be overcome, I guess.
And
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not on the level. Her performance, Diane Guerrero's performance, isn't on the level of something like Orphan Black, where you forget that it's even the same actress. She's not that great at it, but she is very good at it.
No, and I don't know that it necessarily needs to be. I mean, it's all within the trans. And I really love the point when we got inside her mind and everything, and all the representations are there, and there are other people representing those voices or thoughts. I thought that was a really interesting thing. Instead of playing the same thing, just dressed slightly in a different, that wouldn't have worked. And it's like, this is A, faster for production and everything, and B, makes it visually far more interesting.
Yes.
And before we get too far over this, man, how did you guys feel about Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man popping out at the end of episode 3? Like, I should have known it. Like, there's all these things where they're the characters I knew were going to show up, and I was looking forward to them, but I kind of forgot that Animal, Vegetable, he just seems too crazy for live action, which is exactly why I should have thought they would go for it on this show. But man, when he pops out, I love that actor. I really like the way that they decided to pick one of the least intimidating guys possible to play Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man. I like the way that they made him look on screen. And then I like the way, in Preacher, we would always hear these references about Tom Cruise in the background going on as some of the episodes went on. Remember? And now about every third episode, we get some kind of clip or mention on the broadcast news about something new that's happened with Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man. And I'm loving that he's just existing in the background all this time.
Well, Bruce, I think that you're vastly overrating everyone else's excitement for Vegetable, Animal, Mineral Man. However, I do love that you love this character. That is a very Bruce Leslie thing to do. And it is neat that it's running in the background, that it's just like a soft, light touch that you just keep going back to this guy. But you are vastly overrating everyone else's excitement over this character.
I mean, there were twice I thought he died. Like once the dinosaur head bit his human head, but he managed to survive. There was another time the news said, today police shot Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man, but luckily they just shot him in the minerals, so he's okay.
Yeah, that was
I love
pretty
that
great.
I love the fact that he has a dinosaur head, and it's not like, in conjunction with him. It doesn't want to be there. It bites him in the head. I think that's absolutely hilarious. And by the way, which would you rather have, dinosaur or extra head, or Rosie Greer extra head?
Oh man, I love Rosie Greer, but darn, I love those dinosaurs too.
It's a tough decision.
Can I just get rid of my head and have Rosie Greer and a dinosaur
Rosie
head?
Greer and a dinosaur it is. I'll take it.
Now, Willoughby Kipling shows up in this one too, and Willoughby Kipling.
You love that guy.
I love the way that he came about. I also actually really like him too. I like him better on the show than even in the comic. But the whole story with Willoughby Kipling is that Grant Morrison wanted John Constantine to show up for this pretty much the same story arc, the story arc of the Unwritten, when it popped up in Doom Patrol when he was writing it. But DC editorial had drawn this line in the sand that basically characters at Vertigo could no longer appear in DC Comics, and Doom Patrol, even though it would have fit much better at Vertigo, was still being printed, published by DC at that point in time.
Man, that's surprising, really. So that was always a DC comic.
Well, it went to Vertigo eventually. Vertigo's who put out the omnibus and stuff. I mean, Karen Berger knew when she should get her hands into a good product, and this was one of them. But because Hellblazer was at Vertigo, he couldn't use John Constantine, so he came up with this guy, Willoughby Kipling, and just really turned him into, I mean, to say it's like a satirical or even just a parody of John Constantine's not even right, because he started to like come up with his like attempts at parody, came up with things more interesting than what he was parodying.
It's
I guess,
cool and interesting. Like it is. It's clearly meant to be that, and there's, I mean, no denying that. But it's fun and it totally works, even when it's not that directly, related or whatever.
And when according to public statements that Grant Morrison said, he started off basing him on John Constantine and tried to come up with some of these parody traits and how to make like a parody version of John Constantine. And by the time he was done, he had created Withnail from Withnail and I.
Oh, that's funny.
If you guys are familiar with that movie.
I am not.
Yeah, it's a British film. All I can remember about it, a couple of alcoholics that don't have money for anything but booze. They get real cold and rub Bengay on their skin to stay warm. I don't know. You should check it out sometime, Mr. Koufax. You'd like it.
Dirt Bags Magazine.
But Richard E. Grant was the actor, which would have been really cool. I don't know if he's still alive or not. Yeah, it says he's still alive. It would have been real cool if they'd gotten him to play Willoughby Kipling and got Sting to play John Constantine. But those things don't happen anywhere except Wizard Magazine.
As much as we try.
But yeah, I like that, John Constantine, we're talking about Dirtbag Magazine, Dirtbag with a Heart of Gold. A lot of times we think John Constantine is a dirtbag with a heart of gold, but Willoughby Kipling's a dirtbag with a regular old dirtbag's heart. And that's what makes it work so well. And also during this whole Cult of the Unwritten thing in episode 4, we get to see Jane go into this Penny Farthing personality for kind of an extended bit. And out of all the various personalities and the interesting personalities and a lot of the weird and cool stuff they do, Penny Farthing was kind of not one that I was more excited about.
Listen, I mean, fancier of dialects as you are, I'm surprised.
Well, it's got nothing to do with the excellent dialect. I don't know. Penny Farthing's primary character trait is that she's just timid and not assertive, and I understand what she represents, but it's not really fun to spend a lot of time with that aspect when we know we got Hammerhead in there and stuff.
One of the things and I'm sorry I'm shifting gears here for a second, but I just don't want to forget it, and it feels like I'm going to. One of the aspects of the show that I really love is they really do lean into the crazy mad scientist stuff on the show.
Yeah.
Where, all of the gadgetry, all of all of what they're doing to these people for the most part, it all looks like it's from a horror film from the 50s.
Yeah.
And I really do enjoy that aspect to the show where, you're cutting people's heads open, like you're doing stuff like that. And none of it looks real. It all looks, like it's from a 50s movie. And there's an aesthetic there. I'm not exactly sure what to call it, but the whole show is reminiscent of that to me.
And it's wild because the show ranges from the 50s to the modern day. And even in the modern day doesn't feel so separated from that 1950s vibe. So like a lot of times we do have to have a little counter that just goes, hey, by the way, this is what year it is now.
And I like it that this collection of people have all been collected from fairly back in the past. I mean, none of them, the most recent, I guess, would be Cliff, if you don't count Cyborg. The most recent would be Cliff, and he's still been there since, what was it? He showed up in 88, 89,
yeah,
91,
he's been
something
going for
like
like
that.
25 years. So yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
So that also works. But something that I found kind of cool here that I wasn't quite expecting. And, I know a little bit about Crazy Jane, but I don't know nearly as much about her as I do about Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man. But we have this thing when they're doing this subplot of the Cult of the Unwritten and the Cult of the Rewritten, and they kind of take a nice little side quest from the main story. But we go back to 1977 and see that Crazy Jane looked exactly the same in 1977 as she does in present day. So, I just assumed like she was just a baby when a lot of these other people were doing their thing. But no, she's actually probably as old or older than Cliff. But because of her condition, maybe each personality ages separately so that no single personality is getting real old,
No years.
I wonder if they're doing with her the same thing they did with the Hulk, where, like the aging process is less than when you're a different personality.
Yeah. I think that they're probably going just the intentionally vague route with it. Like they're just going to show you, oh, here's 1977 with Crazy Jane, and she looks exactly the same as today. But don't ask me about it because I'm not going to tell you anything anytime soon.
It's a good old
like
never
a Grant
you
Morrison
mind.
approach.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and Ezekiel the cockroach starts showing up around episode 4 or 5, which I love, is the fact that and this is something that should, if you hear the story of Ezekiel the cockroach, you would swear, well, of course, that came from Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol, because it seems so much like the Grant Morrison creation.
Sure.
But it's an original, sort of original. One of the creators wanted to use Ezekiel the cockroach in Supernatural, but it didn't fly, so it got used here on the DC app. But I love it that there's this cockroach who's cheering for the end of humanity because cockroaches will inherit the earth. And his name's Ezekiel, and he's talking to the camera. This guy's great. And this is like, I would like to pick the episode where Ezekiel the cockroach shows up to try to find someone who's never, ever, ever watched a comic book show and say, I'm going to give you just kind of an example of what comic book shows are like, and have them see Ezekiel the cockroach praying for the death of all humans.
Is this what you kids are watching now? This is terrible. Why would you watch this?
I remembered it wrong because I thought that it was from the comic book. Like I wrongfully remembered, but I remembered seeing him in the Doom Patrol comic book, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems it fits too perfectly for a Grant Morrison comic, Yeah. So I think it's one of those where our brain just fits it in there because it makes sense. But no,
there ain't nearly enough Ezekiel in this show for my liking. Yeah. I'd love to see more of him.
I also kind of want to see what those episodes of Supernatural would have been like with Ezekiel, because they're very different shows. And then, they move into this idea where they want to go see the original Doom Patrol, because even though this lineup is mostly original Doom Patrollers, the Doom Patrol, not quite to the same extent as the X-Men or the Avengers or the Justice League, but they have had rotating memberships. So they found a way to bring a whole different group of Doom Patrol members in, because they go and find Minto and Arani, who has the fire and ice power, Ray, the electromagnetic power. There's a guy who can fire kinetic blasts. Like, they go and get this original Doom Patrol that predated them, which was kind of cool because they saw how it appeared that Niles used them up and threw them away. So they're really doing something that has always been a hallmark of the Doom Patrol comics, and that the X-Men borrowed from and maybe did with a little lighter touch, but a little more acclaim, is you never, like, Niles is just as much a bad guy as he is a good guy. And particularly if you look at those Silver Age X-Men comics, and maybe to a lesser extent the Chris Claremont ones, Professor X is pretty bad in a lot of those too. So I like it that they're bringing that whole idea. Maybe Niles is just as bad as everybody else here into this Doom Patrol episode.
And it's great because it's basically your haunted house episode. And it's completely effective. I'm going to be saying this a lot, but most of these episodes work so well on their own that, if you're just coming into it for the first time, and I don't know why you would ever watch this show at like, number 6
first,
episode 6 of Doom Patrol. I'll just go ahead and see that. I don't know why you would do it, but you could do it, and it would be a weird experience, but you could get through it.
And once again, I would love to sit in a room with these people that despite having a streaming app that lets you start with room 1, like, I think I would have to be the one responsible for it. Like, what probably happens is your significant other or your roommate is watching episode 6 and you decide you'll check it out. So you sit down and watch, and that's how it goes down, right? It's not like you just say, I'm going to start in the middle and spiral my way out to both ends. Nobody does that usually. But yeah, I like it that, most every episode. I don't know that there might be one or two episodes that are a little more tame, but most every episode, if you're checking it out for the first time, you're going to realize like, wow, this show is really bonkers. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes you probably could check out an episode of Twin Peaks and it didn't look all that weird. You know, occasionally you might be able to check out the X-Files and it seemed a little more straightforward, but there is no one episode that's going to pass as a regular superhero show here.
That seemed normal. Not words.
Normalcy's overrated. The Bureau of Normalcy Bureau. And then we move on to the rat making Cliff go haywire, which seems to have brought a lot of joy to a lot of people, man. I know not everyone probably understood exactly what was going on with the rat and Cliff, but I got it. I mean, I heard from a person who knows a person, like, you don't know if it's true or not, kind of 3 degrees of separation. But even the director who directed that episode wasn't sure what to make of the rat inside Cliff. So, you know, it's awesome when a show is so cuckoo bananas that even the director isn't entirely sure what's going on.
What's this all about? It's Ed, didn't you read it? Yeah, that's
okay,
what's all on the page.
So a rat is mind controlling. Like, I also like it because it works on a couple of different levels. I mean, it works initially on the level that like just a rat wandered in there and started messing with the wiring and he's malfunctioning. But then, of course, we've always had Alan Tudyk, who manages to stay away just long enough for you to almost forget that Mr. Nobody's a part of this equation. I mean, do you guys agree with me that they're really good at keeping him off screen to the point where you almost forget he's there, then have him show up and reveal that he was responsible?
He literally comes in at one point and says, I haven't been here for 3 episodes. What gives?
I love the way they're handling Mr. Nobody. Very different from Mr. Nobody in the comics.
What did you think of that fire on the poster, Adam? When he clicks his fingers in the fire and the poster sets fire.
Yeah,
it looked like a Thanos snap to me.
It looked. I'm looking at it and I'm just kind of going. It felt like CGI fire, but like I'm like the ashes and stuff seemed good. Like if that's what we're talking about.
Yes, that is what I'm asking.
Because it felt a little CGI fire-ish to me, but you know it's fine. I mean, I like as far as presentation and what they're doing and how they're telling the story. I love that.
And we're jumping way forward to at the end of episode 13.
What if I were to tell you that fire was a real fire? I knew for real that poster was actually set on fire.
I mean, like I said,
I would believe you.
I thought the ashes were the convincing part to me. Like the other part looked like the fire itself kind of looked fake, but the ashes looked like, because that's what seemed real. So it's interesting.
Well, I do like it in this scene we're talking about, and we're jumping towards the end of episode 13, which we will absolutely have to visit more details about 13. But it comes to Alan Tudyk playing Mr. Nobody, who is sitting in a chair wearing like a Doom Patrol T-shirt, a DC hat. Yeah, the promotional material. He's got the poster of the Doom Patrol cast over there, and he says, finally, after 13 episodes, with 2 episodes left, we kick into gear. But he kind of calls out what a lot of the fan community have been saying. I mean, it's really self-aware, and I don't know what the shooting schedule was, or if they were just able to anticipate fan reactions, or if they did some pickup shots with Alan Tudyk. I don't know, but the way he went over and said, now this is the Doom Patrol we've been waiting for. And he goes, wait. And then he cuts Cyborg's face out of the poster and goes, now that's the Doom Patrol we've been waiting for. Because, you know, a lot of fandom didn't like the fact Cyborg has never in any way, shape, or form been affiliated with Doom Patrol before this show. But you know what? It works.
It does. And I think that this is the better Cyborg.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's 1,000% better. And that's what I love about this show is not only Cyborg, but every single one of these characters has a fantastic emotional arc, and all of it is told to us through story. It is it's really something that it doesn't feel like we see enough. And yeah, like while that fun complaint there, quote unquote complaint there at the end of like, now we're finally ready to go and get this show into action mode, as it were. That action mode would not be anywhere close to as entertaining, I would posit, if we didn't get all this awesome backstory and stuff, and really a wild and crazy adventure ahead of time. So I don't even know. I couldn't imagine what they're doing in these next 2 episodes if we get into the more quote unquote traditional superhero show. I don't know that it's going to do that.
I've got 3 bullet points. I just want to get some comments from you guys before we wrap it up, because I know we're getting close to the time where we need to connect it and all that sort of thing. But first off, I would hate for us to go through this whole review and just not comment a little bit on Crazy Jane's personality of Karen, who I think is just awesome. Like, she turns into the, kind of the stereotypically despised basic white girl who wants to talk to the manager. She turns into
Kristen Bell. Is she not doing a Kristen Bell impression, everybody? I think
she's
it's
doing
pretty obvious.
A Kristen Bell character, not the Kristen Bell person.
Fair
who's probably
enough,
awesome.
but, a Kristen Bell character.
It's awesome to me that they picked the name Karen, because someone in my family is named Karen and frequently gets a lot of the Karen memes that are going around sent to her. So
I love the Karen memes.
My aunt's name's Karen, so yeah, it's
so
hilarious.
That has become like the go-to name for, the term is basic white, some other word, but we'll say basic white lady. And it's pretty cool that I think that Guerrera does a good job portraying the basic white lady there. I liked it. I had a lot of fun with Karen, especially when she pops up again a couple episodes later.
It is the syllables and everything that has to do with it that just makes it into Karen,
And Danny the Street, you guys have any comments? I love the concept. It's very different from the comics, but the concept that Danny the Street is for people who don't want to be normal, and this person who is originally a Bureau of Normalcy investigator finds out he's much more comfortable in drag and being free, and that, of course, Larry, who is the only gay main character as far as I know, is too square for like the openness on Danny the Street. I kind of like that twist.
And he's from the 40s.
I love everything about Danny the Street. It's my favorite part of this show.
It's another one though that, like, when you open up that script, if you don't know what you're looking at, and they just go, wait a minute, so there's this the street, and the street is
sentient.
What now? And it and it communicates through the buildings. How is this even working?
The Beard Hunter was a lot of fun, that Beard Hunter episode, specifically the character in the mom's basement who's the Beard Hunter. In the comics, that character, the Beard Hunter, had a short life, but he was created to poke fun at simultaneously at the Punisher and Alan Moore. And I love how they dealt with it, and I almost hurled my lunch up when I saw him eating that big gob of hair.
Geez. It's just, your skin is just crawling. It is just because, just too real. I don't like it.
And then the one thing I've been looking forward to ever since, when did they announce that this show was in pre-production? A year ago?
That sounds about right. A little over a year.
So the one thing I've been looking forward to, even more than Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man, I've been looking forward to seeing Flex Mentallo in live action. And they make me wait till episode 13. But man, we get muscle mystery in full effect. We get flexing to the left, flexing to the right. We get him with some amnesia and a beard. Then he gets trimmed up. They give us a really good Flex Mentallo, portrayed by an actor I'm not very familiar with, who does a fine job. I kind of, in my mind, we all have our wizard fantasy casting. I always wanted John Hamm to play Flex Mentallo for some reason, but we get a good one here.
Honestly,
I think that that guy is secretly a great actor.
That's what I was thinking, because like when you see him come on at first there and everything, and he's, this just really nicely built dude that looks like he came right out of that era and everything, the Charles Atlas looking, but he's buffered than Charles Atlas, if we're honest with ourselves. But like he looks like, kind of Gronkish, that he might just be a big dum-dum, but just happens to be a big, tall guy and everything and fits the bill. And then when the show gets going and you realize, it's like, this dude can really act. And I was really shocked by that, and I was kind of blown away about how good he was, because I think it's a rarer thing to find a person that, physically has exactly what you're looking for and also has the chops to pull it off in the acting department. And he does so quite well.
And I absolutely love the story arc. I love the content of, the Easter egg they dropped in episode 12. They finally find him in episode 13, that he's the guy with the big beard and hair, and he doesn't remember much, and they help him find himself. And then, of course, anytime you get to see Flex Mentallo put his powers of muscle mystery into work on a live action TV show, that's a treat worth, what did I pay? I paid like $70 for a year subscription, worth every penny, just to see Flex Mentallo getting kittens out of trees by flexing muscles.
It just like comes down and like the tree comes down as he flexes. How tough can you get?
And then he flexes it back slowly.
And something that he does in the comics to great effect, if you've read like the Flex Mentallo there's a little skinny hardback trade that a lot of people have. But my favorite thing is he'll flex a glute to make something happen. And he even gave us the old glute flex in this episode.
Yes, he did.
Pew, pew. You know what? We may have to come back and talk about the last couple of episodes because there's so much in this goes because we haven't even gotten into the whole like chief subplot and everything.
Yeah, this might turn into just a Doom Patrol podcast where all we do is talk about Doom Patrol.
And Rita, her whole plot and everything. There's so much to mine here. We're gonna have to table the rest of this.
Do you remember those twins who were on in movies in the 90s and they thought they were hilarious, but they were like bodybuilding twins?
Yeah, like the Hercules twins or something. I saw them in a Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen movie. I'm not lying.
I mean, they were completely and terribly unfunny, but they thought they were funny,
Yeah, but the only reason I remember them is I saw a movie that had them and the Olsen twins. So it was like two sets of twins was the draw to this direct-to-video movie.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I was worried that Flex Mentallo was going to be like.
Or kind of like the Juggernaut or the Sabretooth from the first time around and not the second time around.
When they're like just garbage actors, who should never have done it. But this guy is like secretly
Jeep
a
Swenson.
really great actor.
Bane, Jeep Swenson. Skinny Bane was awesome, but the other Bane not so good.
Again, I think that this is an animal, vegetable, mineral man thing with you. Not everyone loves Skinny Bane like you.
He's our own special little boy, that Bruce Leslie. And you know what else is special? This show's connection to the one man in Hollywood who can do just about anything he darn well wants to. And that's when we have to ask ourselves, how does this television show relate to Sylvester Stallone?
Why, thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement. Kevin Waterman is a stunt car driver on Doom Patrol, and he is exactly like Lee Majors in The Fall Guy. I hope he hangs out with a lady that looks just like Heather Thomas. I hope he's been seen with Farrah. I hope he's been with anything. He's never been with anything less than a 9. So fine. We've spoken about stuff that would have gone so much better if I hadn't screwed it up, but I did.
And I love that theme song.
We've spoken about stunt people a lot on this show before, and when I say we, I mean me. I'm forever writing these things. Stunt guys seem to work with Sylvester Stallone a lot because he doesn't tend to work much on Merchant Ivory movies. I've never seen a movie starring Sylvester Stallone that's about manners. I think he'd be great on Downton Abbey. Can you imagine that guy playing a waiter that attempts to hide his homosexuality? I think it'd be great. Mostly because it would mean the show took a left turn that you'd have friends that watched Downton Abbey saying things like, I used to love the show until the 12th season when the Carmine Ravioli character took over the show. Kevin Waterman has performed stunts on 96 different projects, but not one of them is a movie about a grade school boy attempting to get over the loss of his mother. But he did do stunts in the movie Grudge Match, starring plus-sized actress Sylvester Stallone. I went looking for dirt on the making of this picture, but there was nothing. Stallone behaved himself. Turns out De Niro and Stallone's are friends in real life. De Niro even suggested Stallone when De Niro first got the script. Everyone was having fun and eating ice cream and riding go-karts, and they never got old, and it was always summer. And there you have it, HMPers. Your Stallone connection this week is Kevin Waterman. Thank you. I'm Sean Koufax. Thank you.
Now, this is the point in the show where normally we review things, and frankly, if this were indeed the end of season 1 of Doom Patrol, we would rate this thing, but we're going to save off for right now. Bruce, I know you have no idea, but what do you want from the last 2 episodes? What could make this season wrap up and you just be like, that was perfect?
You know what? Just hold the course. I mean, I can't think it would be hard for them to totally undo my goodwill. It's just the kind of storytelling, the kind of narrative that you really can't mess up the ending unless you try to suddenly turn it into a more linear traditional story in the last 2 episodes. I think, whatever they do at the end, you got to feel like, it's not really the end after all. You know what I mean? It's going to be easy at this point. This is a show that you judge on the whole body of work, not the finale. So they've done most of the good work. So I have no idea. I dare not speculate what's going to happen, but I'll probably be happy with most anything they do.
Yeah, I think most of the things that, I have no idea what could possibly happen. And frankly, they've done so much to garner so much goodwill from me at this point that they could really do just about anything. And frankly, I don't know that I'd be shocked at certain things if certain weird stuff happened,
I'll go so far to say as other horribly famous bad endings, like if it is just a kid staring at a snow globe and this is all in his imagination, that works for this show.
It does.
It does.
If Patrick Duffy comes out of the shower and goes, it was all a dream, that totally works too.
They straight up spend time in a snow globe in this season.
Even if they fade
Newhart wakes up.
Yeah, they fade to black mid-sentence. That might not work so good, but most of the famous bad endings would still work for this show.
It's pretty incredible. Sean, any kind of last little bits before we wrap it all up here?
Basically everything that Bruce just said. I think that what I'm hoping happens is that they don't do that thing where okay, let's try to give the fans some fan service here. No. Do what you're doing. I didn't watch Titans, but if you want a show that is like that, then just watch Titans. Yeah. The only episode of that show I saw that I actually liked was the Doom Patrol episode on that.
No, I think I agree. You see it, and it's just that's not really what I want. And I turned this thing on, and you can't stop watching it. It's just there's something about it, and again, I think it comes down to really good storytelling, and they're doing it in a very unconventional way. And when you can do that and pull it off really well, it's kind of astounding. All right, everybody, that is it for this week. Next week, we have our Patreon vote. We're not exactly sure what we're going to nominate, but if you're Surrogates is on there. Well, that just kind of goes without saying. But
Dark Knight.
Oh, listen, that almost seems like cheating. That one's just going to win.
Incredible Bulk.
Have we never reviewed The Dark Knight?
We have not. We are in 6. We are coming at which by the way, boys, congratulations. We're in our 6th year now.
6 years.
But no, in 6 years we have not done Dark Knight. So Dark Knight versus Surrogates. We're going to put it up those two.
Have we covered the original 1989 Batman? I feel like we've been sitting on that.
We've been sitting on that one as well.
It's coming up on 30 years. 1989 was a great year in movies. I got a whole idea for the Dinger Zone if we do that one.
That'll definitely be in there. So we'll refine this a little bit more in the post show here. But if you'd like to receive that and all the other cool things as well as that Dinger Zone, head on over to patreon.com/HMP and be like the 40 some odd people that are helping us out right now. So thank you, patreon.com/HMP. In the meantime, Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
Folks, don't worry about me. What I want you to do is go online and look for the Kentucky Ventriloquism Museum.
Oh, my gosh.
Go treat yourself to something special. Go to this museum where you can see bunches and bunches of ventriloquist dummies.
Sean?
Go to Preacher Podcasts. We're going to be on there pretty soon. Preacher Podcast.
It's coming up, everybody. And I don't know what happened. I know they moved from shooting in New Orleans to shooting in Australia, and we never got our set invites. I'm a little bit perturbed, but hey, it is what it is. But we will be coming back for Preacher in its final season coming up, so stay on the lookout for that, everybody. In the meantime, we'll see you guys next week. For Sean Koufax, Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Portrais. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie. Hope you're feeling better.